Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Screenstars, and welcome to another of my TV reviews. Specifically, a pilot episode review for the new reimagining of the classic TV show Quantum Leap. Now, this time, the show stars Raymond Lee, Caitlin Bassett, Nanrisa Lee, Ernie Hudson, and Mason Alexander Park. Now, obviously, it is based on the famous TV show with Dean Stockwell and Scott Bakula. That is many people's favourite shows. It was a show that I wouldn't say I followed religiously back in the day, but it's a show that I really remember watching and enjoying. It was one of those easy to watch shows that was inoffensive and quite a lot of fun to watch, and it is certainly, I think, regarded, rightfully so, as a classic TV show. So they've decided to bring it back. What are my thoughts on them bringing it back? I don't know. I think nothing is sacred these days, so I think for them to try and bring it back, okay, fair enough. Which is why I've given this pilot episode a go, to see if at all it can live up to the legacy left by the original show. And this is just me watching the pilot episode. I haven't watched any more episodes. And honestly, guys, after watching this pilot episode, I'm not sure I want to. I wasn't impressed with this. I have to be honest. It felt very tame, very diluted, very safe. And to be honest, it literally felt like I was watching the old show, but without any soul. They haven't really made what you would describe as any significant changes here. Obviously, other than the obvious, the casting. There's no Scott Bakula here. Obviously, there's no Dean Stockwell because he sadly passed away last year, I believe it was. And I think the show is dedicated to Dean Stockwell. Certainly, the pilot episode is. But they are referenced. Both Sam and Dean Stockwell's character are both referenced here. Now, the show revolves around Dr. Ben Song, played by Raymond Lee. Now, he is, as Sam Beckett was, a physicist on the Quantum Leap project. Now, it seems like since 30 years ago, when the project was kind of shut down, or the show kind of makes out, they're trying to kind of redo it all. So he's brought on board to try and figure it all out. Obviously, they haven't made much progress in the last 30 years. He's in a relationship with Caitlin Bassett's character, Addison, who's also on the project. And for some unknown reason, after introductions to the characters at a party sort of thing, he decides to get in the Quantum Leap machine and leap. Nobody really understands why, and his partner, Addison, is sent back, as Dean Stockwell used to be, as like a hologram, to guide him through. So the only real mystery here is, why did he get in the machine? Because he wasn't supposed to be that person. It was supposed to be Addison who was going to be doing the leaping, and he was going to be the hologram when they figured all the technology out. So there's some reason why he's decided to get in this machine and leap, and that is the only real mystery here that they're going to try and figure out. This first episode, he leaps back into some guy in the 1980s, and you know it's the 1980s because obviously at the cinema it's all recognisable movies. It's got Live Aid posters everywhere, and there's a-ha music playing and all this kind of stuff constantly. It's like, this is the 80s, and then they keep sledgehammering that message home that it's the 80s. So he jumps back into this guy in the 80s. He's part of like a stick-up crew. It's going to kind of rob some museum, but he's there to stop somebody getting killed. Usual stuff. But he's no memory. He's gone back. He's leaped, and he's absolutely no memory. Now, to be honest, I can't remember if that was the case in the original show, if Scott Bakula had lost his memory. I can't honestly remember that, to be honest. But it's irrelevant, really. This guy has lost his memory. He doesn't remember anything about who he is, really, and why he's doing what he's doing. So he's relying on Addison with, yes, Ziggy still here, the supercomputer, to kind of guide him through these leaps. And that's it. That's the first episode, really. And then he leaps off again at the end of the episode. And I think the next episode is going to be like an astronaut. So it just basically it feels like a cheapened rehash of the original show, with a different cast. You know what I mean? We've got Ernie Hudson here, obviously from Ghostbusters. You'll recognise a couple of other characters. There's Mason Alexandra Park, who's like a non-binary actor that I'm sure is going to trigger some imbeciles on YouTube and social media. I couldn't give a monkey's really who they cast in these shows. If they're right for the part, cast them. I don't care. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm not sure the casting for this show works, but it's really unfair of me to say that after just one episode. But from what I can gather, and certainly looking at the reviews that I'm looking at, people aren't overly impressed with this show. And I honestly can't understand why, because I'm not impressed, certainly after this pilot episode. It doesn't stand out. It feels like I said, cheapened rehash of the original show. It doesn't feel like they've upped the ante at all, made it stand out, made it any different. But again, this is just my impressions from the pilot episode. It may develop into a fine show. I think the season 1, there's 18 episodes, something like that. So there's plenty of scope for them to make improvements here. It's never really fair to judge a show completely after the pilot episode. I just know that it's not impressed me enough to consider going back and watching more. I might give it a couple of months and then go back and try another 2 or 3 episodes, see if it grabs me a little bit more, give it another chance maybe. But just... this really is to give you guys a bit of a heads up. There is a Quantum Leap show out there, a new show. If you're a fan of the original, I don't imagine this is going to impress you too much. Otherwise, maybe give it a go if you're looking for maybe a new sci-fi show to give a casual watch to. I wasn't overly impressed with this one, which is why I've given it a 6 out of 10. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.